one of the Muslim countries, I won't say which country, where you had over 13 million women over the age of 35 that have not been married. These things are pandemics.
That's becoming a norm in many countries.
Right.
The 40-year-old virgin. Most people today, they are getting divorced twice before they realize their mistakes. So many people say, I fell into a divorce with someone, I had no right to divorce them. This is a major problem because basic conflict will happen.
What is marriage actually meant to be in Islam?
Marriage in Islam really is supposed to be functional. It's supposed to be efficient. It's supposed to build for the people. It's the axle that everything spins around, and we're not approaching it. We're not conceptualizing the way we're supposed to. So we're living in a crisis right now. Individualism has ripped us apart. We forget the bigger picture. Everything ties to marriage. It helps build a capacity of the society, something grand and beautiful.
If Jannah in itself cannot be enjoyed without a spouse, then what about this dunya?
There's always a skeleton in the closet today. A woman can feel a lack of security from the first night.
Very common.
I got stories.
But how do I know? I've never been married before. What do I know about compatibility? What questions do I ask to establish that?
There's a long list.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Abu Abdullah here. Before we get into the podcast, I'd like to welcome you to the Madinah Project, a podcast dedicated to empowering Muslims with financial independence, locational freedom, and a legacy of righteousness bi-idhnillah azza wa jal. We're here to help and inspire Muslims like you to break into tech, real estate, and entrepreneurship, to build businesses that serve the ummah. On this podcast, we highlight Muslim entrepreneurs and their businesses, share with you game-changing insights, and give you the tools to transform your life so you can better serve Allah in your community. If you're ready to take that step with us, all I ask of you is to subscribe to the Madinah Project, share to spread the khair, and join us on this journey where we're building stronger Muslim communities, one project at a time. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Hayyak Allah, Brother Bilal, marhaba.
Hayyakumullah.
This is the second time, alhamdulillah, we're sitting down to record for the Madinah Project.
Back live in color.
Enjoy the last one.
Alhamdulillah.
Jazakallah khairan. That was Mufid Jiddan. Today we decided that we're going to be Ibnillah Azza wa Jal go into a topic that is one of the most discussed actually topics, I would say, in our community, and actually one of the most important, right, in general. And yet at the same time, it is, I believe, one of the most misunderstood, which is marriage, right? It is the foundation, we can say, of society, while at the same time, people do not seem to understand its true place in society, even though it's the foundation. That's how families are built. You know, communities are built. Yet people do not seem to have a clear grasp of its importance and how to go about it. And what we want to do is, bi-idhnillah azza wa jal, is actually, do a deep dive series going through the entire journey, right? On this specific episode, we're just going to do an intro. We're going to, do a quick overview, bi-idhnillah azza wa jal, and touch on the most important points, and then later on come and do a deep dive on it, right? So one of the things that happens in many settings is that people talk about weddings. They talk about, we talk about compatibility. We talk about love and all this other stuff. People talk about expectations, and sometimes I don't even know what that means, right? And again, we're going to go into that. But one thing that really happens is that we really pause and actually ask ourselves, what is marriage actually meant to be in Islam? What is the true meaning of marriage, right? Besides two people just coming together, right? People think it's just, to have children, etc. But life is much more than that. So this discussion and this series are not meant to be entertainment. Walillah alhamd, just like anything that we do here, it's not meant to be entertainment, right? Our goal is to actually bring about clarification, reflection, rectification, which is absolutely needed, right? There are a lot of marriages failing, right? So bi-idhnillah azza wa jal, we're going to walk through the entire journey, from way before a person actually sits next to the Wali and, is, asks for that girl and is accepted and they get married. So way before that, we're going to go back and then we're going to talk about that and then we're going to talk about what happens after actually, right? To paint a picture, people who have never been married, what is actually marriage, all right? But what we're going to start, what we want to start is by tackling the institution of marriage, right? What is marriage as an institution in Islam? And then we're going to talk about this, the readiness. That's a step that a lot of people, I think, overlook, right? Asking, am I actually ready for marriage? And what does it actually mean to be ready? Then we're going to talk about the search. We're going to talk about the actual, navigating that whole process and the actual wedding process, being able to actually survive a marriage for years, lifetime, right? Because that's really what it's meant to be and that's what it's supposed to be, right?
Lifetime journey.
Exactly. And then, we meant to marry and build something that lasts, bi'idhnillah. In fact, so much so that this spouse is supposed to, bi'idhnillah, be our spouse in the hereafter in Jannah.
Legacy.
And that's the goal, right? By building that legacy that transcends this dunya. We're not coming from a place of superiority, pretending, like we know it all, we have all the answers. No, it's just that we believe that this is a sincere topic that needs to be had, right? And we want to open that conversation. Maybe you can just tell us a bit more of your relationship in this area with community, with the people, with, your journey, what you've been doing.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah ma ba'd. As you mentioned, it's not about authority. One of the things that I really understand and highlight about my life is that when you're able to be cognizant of what works, you're able to advise people. You look at a cook. If your mother was in the kitchen constantly producing meals that everybody benefited from, everybody loved, sometimes you can see somebody cooking, you say, hold on, you don't use the butter like that. Hold on, Abdurrahim, you don't cook. I just seen it work. You know what I mean? So when we talk about marriage in Islam, the beautiful thing about Islam is that there's a simplistic application of everything that relates to everybody. And then there is a practice, there's a fiqh, there's an understanding that are for people who actually have that seniority. So everybody can get in where they fit in. So what this endeavor that we have about being able to bring the practice of marriage as an institution is something that everybody has a place in. So my traveling throughout the world and just being from the South, seeing how family, I didn't realize that being from the South, you will understand the family dynamic different than other people. We have family reunions every other year in our environments where even the people who are impoverished and, doing bad, they still stay married. So now fast forward 25 years later as a Muslim studying basics of Sharia and interacting with societies and marrying from different cultures, it's like, yo, this thing really is supposed to be functional. It's supposed to be efficient. It's supposed to build for the people. It's the axle that everything spins around. And we're not approaching it. We're not conceptualizing the way we're supposed to. So it's about how can we all fit in helping each other understand our places. It's not about authority. It's about how we can all fill our role, our position, and making things go. We're living in a crisis right now. And to truly understand that marriage benefits the family, it benefits the masjid, it benefits the community, it benefits the businesses, it benefits the society at large, it benefits the ummah. I don't think we actually put it into that proper framing. Individualism has ripped us apart. And the first thing is having the mindset, that clarity, being balanced where you can zoom in and zoom out. As individualism is about us being so zoomed into ourselves that we forget the bigger picture. And some people can be so zoomed out, maybe in a fiqh book or in a council of a marriage council board, where they're so abstract they don't realize the personal struggles. So we have to have that balance of how we can zoom in to understand realities, but yet zoom out to where we can understand the bigger picture. But this is what this is about.
So let's begin with the big picture now. Let's zoom out and let's begin with the big picture, right?
Zoom out.
So before we talk about because people will, people love to jump into like searching. How do I find a marriage? A spouse? How do I get married? But before all of that, the bigger picture is what is marriage actually meant to be in Islam?
Allah.
What is the purpose?
Marriage is beautiful, man. And as Muslims, we look at marriage as something that we can't limit the hikmah of Allah Azza wa Jal. It covers everything. Marriage is about increasing the moral integrity of the believer. It's about constantly being engaged in servitude where it's worship. It's about building all of the masalih, all of the benefits of the society. It's about preserving people to where now they can work as a collective. So marriage is something azim. Marriage is something so beautiful that any person as a specialist on every level can look into marriage and see how it benefits their place in society. You can go get the engineers, you can go get the people in finance and economics, you get the people in law, you can get the people that's dealing with ethics, you get the people in sports. Everything ties to marriage, but we don't understand. We're not getting it. So marriage is not that we restrict it. It's about understanding it's the system that helps preserve and push life. It helps build a capacity of the society. Something grand and beautiful.
Marriage, from an Islamic perspective, we know that's something that Allah Azza wa Jal has legislated. And it's actually an act of ibadah. It's not just what Hollywood has made it seem to be, which is just this romance. Not to say romance, there's no place for romance in marriage, but it's an act of ibadah. Right? And Islam has come to preserve 5 things. And one of those is the lineage, right? The bloodline, right? So let's start from that. Like, let's talk about marriage as an act of worship, and actually the purpose behind it, right? From a perspective of sakina, right? The spouses find sakina and rahmah, right? Exactly, right? The mawadda between them, which we all need. So, let's talk about it from that angle.
Mithaqun ghalid, marriage is that amana, is that covenant. A lot of times we don't have the translations. They don't resonate as the Arabic does when a person understands the language. But covenant is something that a lot of us can relate to. It means that's something you're locked into. Covenant gives you lifelong commitment. So in the English language, what comes to my mind is covenant.
Right.
You have a covenant with Allah. You have a covenant with that person that you sign. You put your Johnny Hancock on the dotted line. In fatwa, they call the books I'lam al-Muwaqi'een. These are books that numerous scholars have. Ibn al-Qayyim is famous to us, but many scholars have this thing. It's about fatwa, putting your name on the dotted line, that you will stand before Allah with this fatwa that you gave. So the mithaq is something in which you are signing off. This is something between you and your Lord, that you will perform this amana. You will take care of it. So marriage has to be something that we understand that we are locked in as covenant, that we will be held responsible for it in the akhirah. And our performance day after day determines how we're going to be looked at.
Right.
So it has that aspect of covenant. Also is your spiritual connection. When we think about ibadah, we always think about acts a lot of time. We think about acts, but ubudiyya is a condition. So you always locked in with servitude. The constant etiquettes between you and the spouse, the making money of the spouse, the being concerned of the safety of the spouse, the emotional concern of the spouse, the interpersonal relationships between the family. This is the servitude. But you have to have those intentions that you are engaged with your Lord in all of your actions, instead of just being cultural events, because marriage is something that's customary.
So
people get musky and they clean themselves. People get arousal and they go seek to fulfill themselves. These are all customary. So Islam brings principle. Islam brings example. We have the model of our beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so that now it transcends just culture. It's something that we are constantly engaged in gaining the closeness of Allah and actually fulfilling ourselves because we have those intentions.
As an institution, there are roles to be played. That's any institution. There are roles. There are rights and there are responsibilities. What are some of those things that when it comes to marriage that before a person even, starts searching, what are those things that they need to really keep in mind and think of? Because we say it's ibadah. If it's ibadah, that means you get rewarded for it, right? And also you're failing in the responsibilities, the obligations that Allah Azza wa Jal has placed upon you. You also can get sins for it.
Yes.
Right? So how do we think about this institution of marriage as a set of not just rights, but also responsibilities for both sides?
As believers, we understand systems. From the majesty of Allah, He created His creation with systems. So marriage is a system. I use the concept of a stakeholder. We're talking about institution, the business. Society is a stakeholder in Abdurrahim's marriage, in Bilal's marriage. We are stakeholders. So how much are you investing shows a lot about the output. Your responsibilities and making sure the functionality of the business shows a lot about the business. There's a revision of income statements, of how the production is going. There's HR. There's people that actually monitor the system to make sure that it's prosperous. You understand? So now when you're talking about marriage, the most important role is now you're talking about who runs the business, being a CEO, shared partnership, being invested. There's values that have to go around in order to make the business culture work, as they call it as a terminology.
Right.
How people bond to make sure that they work together. So this marriage is about being invested in something that you want to be fruitful. So now there's rights from the CEO. His rights have to be fulfilled in order for him to perform and make sure that he's giving the rest of the people under them their rights. And his business won't function if he doesn't give the rights to the janitor, to the person sweeping outside the office, or even his executive. So everybody on the totem pole has to make sure they get their rights. So this is amana. This is the business. So marriage as an institution is about knowledge of self. It's about knowledge of the legislation, knowledge of people. And it's not something that's complicated. It's something that's very practical. But we have to be intentional.
Saudi Vision 2030 has 30 million pilgrims annually projected. That's 3 times the current capacity. We position ourselves for this boom today. While others wait, alhamdulillah, we've secured properties in Medina. No fear. We see the opportunity and we're going all in. We have long-term leases signed. Renovations already underway. Operating procedures already established. What we need is investment capital to complete what we've started. The minimum investment that we're targeting is $15,000 with a 25% projected return annually. That is a low number for investment and a high return on investment compared to the market. Pilgrimage, Umrah, is recession-proof. Demand exists in good times and bad. Muslims will always visit the city of the Prophet ﷺ. We're looking for a number of founding investors to join us who will get priority on all future investment opportunities. Bi'idhnillah, you'll have direct access to me. You can ask any questions that you need. Investment forms are ready. If you're serious, please fill it out below and we will provide you all the information that you need before you make any commitment. Medina is calling. Will you answer?
We have to be intentional beings, and we have to be fearful beings of Allah to make sure that we perform these rights.
Right. And if you go back to the creation of mankind, it started with Adam and Hawa.
And his spouse, no.
Right? And from there, he spread countless men and women. So when we think about marriage as a civilization building institution, and that carries on the generations after generation, what happens if marriage didn't exist? Or if it was not upheld the right way according to the Sharia? What will happen?
Look at the argument. Look at the ridiculous argument of the people who disbelieve in the oneness of Allah. And they believe in the Big Bang, that catastrophe, that chaos could bring about perfection. So now as as believers going into marriage, can we believe that chaos that we see in society, that chaos with the moral, the immorality that we see, it can build a society? It can't. We can't go from chaos to a system that's efficient. So it's important that we understand. Our starting point is that this has to be a system that's efficient. It has to be something that it actually has benchmarks. It has to be something that's so clear that if we practice it, it brings about rectification for every element in society. It's got to be that way.
Isn't a community or society in itself just made up of small family nucleuses? You know what I mean? Like, it's just small pods of families.
These words are abstract. We really shouldn't be using these words, because community now can mean the gamer. The community means more to gamers than it means to people actually interacting with each other. You know, you in New York and you go into Times Square, you say the word community. What the heck does that mean? Nothing. Society. Yeah, we busted. But this is the reason why we talk about marriage. Why? Because we understand that, okay, the people that we interact with on a daily basis, Salat brings us to congregation. So the people that we live around, they have an impact on ourselves. We need to start to think like that the people in the masjid, our neighbors, they have an impact on us. So, you know, even if they're non-Muslims, you know, that's why it's important to pick the communities, the environments that you're around, because whether you actually walk with them in life, they still have an impact on you. You know, we look at Mormons or any group of people, a group of nomads in the jungle, in the Amazon. Their functionality of marriage has an impact on their sustaining, their survival. And this is why it's customary. So our Islamic belief, our practice of morale, of akhlaq, it has to enhance it. It has to enhance the institution. It has to enhance the cultural aspect and practice of marriage.
What happens to a society that veers away from this institution according to the Sharia of Allah?
What's the results of individualism? We get feminism. We get the extreme red pill. We get disbelief. We get ilhad. People saying the mixing of gender roles. You know, mutashabihin, people that I actually believe that I have a right to choose my gender. Just think about the arguments that people, that their disposition has become perverted, how whimsy they are, how they have no basis. It's because they don't have a model. People are not supposed to rationalize how the relationship, how Adam and Eve are supposed to work. It's not irrational. It's something that's innate. But our perversions, our environments, our lack of understanding objectives in Sharia, the illnesses of our hearts, to now we are guessing. So this is why the dialogue, the endeavors of bringing the institution of marriage as the essential basis and the meeting grounds for people takes precedence, because everybody can point a finger. Everybody can find a problem. We can all go in society and be like, listen, those women not doing right. And they can say, man, these brothers don't got nothing going on for themselves. Everybody can point the finger. The gender roles are supposed to be like this. And the opposite is point. But when we look into the institution, it becomes clearer that there's a model, that there's something that we actually can follow that will get us somewhere.
When people do not marry, what happens? The result is children out of wedlock, right? And that creates chaos. Then people don't know who belongs where, right? And Islam again came to preserve that. Is to preserve, that institution and to get civilization to move forward in the right way, to the point that people can literally trace, like the Arab, did in the past, and some still do. They're able to trace back to hundreds or thousands of years, we can even say, right? That lineage. So we understand from an Islamic perspective, there's no question. We understand that marriage is important, but it's a must.
It's a must.
It's a must. And it's a necessity. And without it, society collapses and evil spreads and diseases spread and so many other harms come about, right? And then these concepts of, the purpose of there being sakina, rahma, mahabba is all lost.
It's all
and without these, how is any person going to, be able? You need that on a day-to-day.
That's the purpose of connecting it to the different levels.
Right.
We have common friends that build people's capacity with, finances on higher levels.
Mm-hmm.
And in some of our discussions, we talked about how businessmen, they wreck their investments, their endeavors, because they're constantly at battle with themselves and their spouses.
Mm.
You got to bring it home. Athletes, how many athletes don't reach peak performance because of their relationships with the outside, their spouses? You know what I mean? So it's about, sometimes in the world of dysfunction, you have to find your point of reference. What is it that you endeavor and realize how marriage is going to wreck it, or of not practicing marriage properly, how it can wreck it, how it can impact you of not being efficient, to really make it tangible. What do you want out of life? Now let us show you how you can't really get that in its maximum capacity unless you actually use marriage properly. Unless you're just a selfish being, not, you know what I mean? If you want to practice Iman, you want to be a believer, then no, it's not going to work.
Let's go back to, for someone who's watching this and doesn't really truly know what marriage is. Let's define it. Malish, let's define it in layman terms. What is marriage?
Nikah, as we do, is the Arabic term that Allah mentions in the Quran, is the contractual agreement between the Muslim man, and a woman to have lawful relationships with one another. That's nikah. Preserving specific rights and agreed upon by giving the Mahr. In general, this is what we understand by marriage.
Amazing. What is the purpose of it?
The purpose of marriage is to deal with that which our nature, our disposition, to make sure that we fulfill our void. That's one of the main objectives. Allah has created us that we have progeny. So we have to be able to fulfill that void, and marriage is that first thing.
So
likewise, purpose. Just imagine how, think about our mindsets in middle school as young boys that have all the abilities to make children. What was our position with purpose? Everybody playing basketball, doing what they want to do in the streets or whatever. Anybody in the world you go find, for the most part, you find a young person that's just coming into puberty, his purpose won't be defined.
So,
but let him sign that contract. Now purpose becomes defined. There's something in you that's drive, there's motives that pushes the individual. So as Muslims, marriage pushes us to excel. And this is why the talk about marriage is so essential. Having the understanding of our roles, understanding its place in society, because we all have some type of vision, even if it's on the individual level. Marriage pushes us to reach our heights.
Are you saying that actually marriage is a catalyst for people to actually be better and do better and achieve more?
100%.
So now
we need to address some of these elements. The elements now, because this is the problem. Some people, even if we might not all be articulate in regards to marriage, but we can all feel the elements that need to be addressed. So this is what we need to talk about. What are the things? What's the journey in marriage? So now I can start seeing, where am I deficient? What am I missing? What do I need to fix? This is what makes it important.
We all need companionship. And, we have companions. A brother can have his companions from the brothers. A sister can have her companions from the sisters. But there's another companionship that is created between a husband and wife that there's no the likes of it in the dunya. It doesn't exist, and you cannot get it from anyone else except in this institution.
Allah created us with senses. So we see because we need to obtain. How can you obtain food without seeing? Not talking about the blind, but sight helps us to spot that so we can obtain it. But when it comes to marriage, there's a different sensation that comes in looking. You know, we feel because, brothers, they do martial arts. So feel is a part of combat. You want to impact what feel, but marriage, it has a different sensation. So our essence, our disposition, it changes with marriage. Everything that we have, the nervous system changes with all of the stages of interaction in marriage. So it's something divine, it's something special, but we have to look at it like that. This is the challenge.
So much so that even the non-Muslims in their countries, right, they have systems put into place, right, for the institution of marriage. So important, right? Even though obviously they've distorted it in so many ways, but they understand that the lack thereof creates chaos in society.
Yeah.
And again, from the hikmah of Allah Azza wa Jal, giving us this institution. And then on top of that, again, talking about the purpose, the benefits, from a personal, starting from the individual to the society, to the family, to the society. Oh, and it transcends, as we said from the beginning, this dunya in itself, to the point that in Jannah, as I heard someone say, if Jannah in itself cannot be enjoyed without a spouse,
Allahu Akbar.
then what about this dunya?
Fulfillment. Allah is merciful.
Allahu Akbar. So much so that Islam, we know that Allah has even created special companions in Jannah, the Hurul Ain.
No.
Right? And those who are married in this dunya and are upon Islam and die upon Tawheed will be rejoined as spouses again in Jannah. Allahu Akbar. So the institution of marriage transcends this dunya in itself.
That's a beautiful point there.
To the hereafter, to the everlasting. Once we've understood the importance of marriage, because society has really deviated from it, let's be honest. There was a time when people got married at a young age because they knew, they understand the value, the responsibility, the drive it creates. Now, it's shifted to people completely delaying marriage. Sometimes avoiding it in totality. But then, alhamdulillah, Islam still preserves that, and there are those who see the value and the importance and the need and the fear of falling into haram, and they want to get married. But we also see a lot of marriages failing. So before a person goes into getting married, because it's not just, look, I just find a sister, or a sister finds a brother, and, they like each other, they find each other attractive. All right, let's get married, right? That's the wrong way to go about it.
Yeah.
But there's a right way to go about it. So that leads me to the second point, which is this idea of self-preparation before even starting to search. The question that every single person should ask themselves, and every single parent should ask about their child: are you ready for marriage? Am I ready for marriage? And that's not tied to age, is it?
No.
So let's dive a bit more about that. So I guess the question is, who should get married and when?
I use 2 V's, value and vision. Each spouse needs one, or each suitor, before getting into marriage. You have to actually ask, what's the value proposition that I'm presenting? What am I bringing? What do I put on the table? Likewise, what is the vision? Because when you, as a man, I want to find a woman to invest in my vision. And then likewise, it's the opposite. It goes around, it circulates. A woman says, what the value that I'm putting on the table, and what value are you putting on the table? And she needs a vision that coincides, is in alignment with your vision. So value and vision helps a lot. Is key to be able to know exactly what we're presenting. So now when we talk about value, you have to be truthful. A lot of times we're not truthful to ourselves. We live in a society where it allows us to lie. It allows us to lie to ourselves. Why? Because we're dependent in the West, we're dependent on external elements. There's a system made for you to enter, and you can pretty much get what you need, but it doesn't produce any fruits. So people live in these systems without understanding they need to work together. When you need to work together, you have to know who you are. You have to be truthful to yourself. So now when I look at how I was brought up, what is my image of a man? What is my image of a woman? What is the realities of relationships? How we interact, conflict. How do I deal with conflict? People are struggling because they're not truthful, that they don't know how to deal with their emotions. You know, we talk about the diet, not having men around, many factors that make men not have masculinity. I mean, not act in a masculine way. The masculinity needs to be understood, that me upholding a home and taking care of my children and raising them up and building them up is true masculinity. That's true manhood. You know, and vice versa. A woman actually having honor, saying that womanhood is for me to be invested in something that's going to last. Me having value, me raising up something, me raising up children that they're going to be something, you know? So these are all things that start before you even sit down. And you have to be truthful and say, you know what? I'm missing elements. Or I don't know, I'm ignorant in certain affairs. So that truthfulness of knowing who you are is very important. And then after that is actually being educated or getting mentored. Today, you have to have mentorship. You have to have mentorship. You have to have accountability. It's no way, because all of the forces are against us. On every line, you open, the minute you turn on your phone, there's something that's pushing you away from being the best you.
Right.
So you need someone to actually to check you, to hold you accountable. Marriage is failing because people were not held accountable when they were young. Marriage is failing because people are not held accountable at the time they put their names on that dotted line. Marriage is failing because people are not being held accountable when they start having children. So now, before we get married, we need to be accountable. We need to be introspective. What has harmed me? How do I actually think that I'm going to interact and I have these issues within me? You know, in many of my counseling sessions, I've dealt with, it can be a person who had a very good home, memorized Quran, you know, was taken care of, intelligent, but he was the only child or the baby child. And because this was his cultivation, he feels that he has privileges. He doesn't separate between privileges and rights. You understand? He confuses the rights that the woman should be given with privileges. This is a problem because he was brought up like that. And on the other spectrum, you have people that never had a father, never had a man in their life. You know, I have friends that were Muslim, but their father had multiple wives and he wasn't there for him because of business or whatever. But he didn't have a man in his life. So now it's time for you to marry. You don't become introspective and realize, like, you know what? I'm missing something. You know, this is the importance of having these discussions so people can look. Some people have traumas. Some people were beaten as children. And it has an impact on the way they see women. You know, so you have to look into yourself. This is one of the most important things. But people need help. This is why we make assessments. This is why we make discussions for people to, you know, actually look and say, what is it that your childhood may have an impact on you now getting married?
So you touched on a few points, obviously, right? There's the emotional, and also there's this religious, spiritual readiness that is there, that every single Muslim, man or woman, needs to get married. And then on the men's side, there's also the financial readiness. Like, these are, you know, this is just a reality. Like, we gotta talk about these things. But I think, again, you know, distortion in society has come to the point where now we're no longer using the right measuring sticks, because the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right, advised that if the one with deen and good character comes to you and asks for your daughter in marriage, then marry her. Otherwise, fitna will spread, right? Again, there's broader understanding of this. There's other conditions that apply in other things. And also, when it comes to choosing a woman, that you're choosing the one. A woman is married for 4 things.
No.
right? If she combines all four, amazing. Allahumma barak. Then you found a unicorn, right? Allahumma barak. But the one you prioritize is the deen.
It's the deen.
Because that's where success lies. But now going back to readiness, to knowing if a person is ready for marriage. Who is ready? Defining that person who is ready and when they are ready. I think this is something that is extremely crucial, because what's happening is sometimes a person gets married and they're not ready. They don't want to sell marriages. It's not about age. Yes, by the time someone hits puberty, they 15 to 20 years old, they should be ready. Like, I'm talking about Islamically, like there's no excuse in our ummah as to why we're not preparing our children, especially our boys and daughters, to know and be ready for marriage at that time. It makes no sense that we're not educating them, because I'm out of education, right? But at the same time, just because you're 25 or 30, doesn't mean you're ready for marriage, because you're still like a big child. You could be a big child.
Extended adolescence.
Exactly, right? So now there has to be a clear definition and a guide on how a person knows I am ready for marriage.
100%. So value and vision. Vision, understanding what I need to be doing, understanding roles, understanding its purpose in life. Vision. Having a detailed plan for production. As we can't be Muslims that we don't see how we actually fit into society producing. You know what I mean? We have a lot of young men and women that really just believe that we can just go into, the work field, make some money and just live. We have to be people of production. So actually understand why, because the clearer you are with production, the more engaged you are going to be in your endeavor. You understand? So now I'm saying, okay, the sister saying, brother, this is what I want. This is what I see. This is how we're going to benefit. So now when we come together, we can actually move. Now, value is about me having stability. I have emotional stability, because a person that's we're social beings by design.
Yeah.
So if I'm interacting and I can't keep a friend, I can't articulate myself, I can't stand up for myself, I'm unstable.
Right.
So you have to have a level of stability emotionally, financially. You can't get across town in order to do the basic needs. You're financially unstable. So these are all things that you have to be able to provide value. Can you actually move the marriage financially? Can you interact with the spouse emotionally? Can you deal with the turmoil that comes with being in a house with another being that you will have disagreements with? Do you understand?
Right.
These are all of the things. There's many things connected to them, but these are the core things. How emotionally stable am I to deal with conflict? Life is built upon how do we interact with conflict. Business partners, we differ. We have conflict. So we have to find resolve. Neighbors, we have conflict. We have to find resolve. This is the beauty of Islam. It comes to bring the best mitigation, the best results, rectification for conflict. So people are struggling with actually understanding how to find resolve with conflict. That comes by building yourself. And some conflict comes from not being financially stable. You can't remove harms. You can't move yourself out of certain environments. Today we're not living in the past where the environments help sustain our lives. You have to build it. You have to build your environments today. So these are all a part of preparation. Understand that you need help. A big problem is understanding the people around you. A man cannot be alone. You have to have good companions. You have to have people to hold you accountable. Many men feel like, okay, I have authority. I don't need anyone to hold me accountable. I'm the shepherd. And it becomes oppressive in relationships because there's no accountability. We don't have a ministry of justice where a woman can complain to get her rights. So in a lot of relationships, there's no accountability. So readiness is about checking these things out. My value is in being able to move the family financially, being able to deal with conflict emotionally, being able to have a vision where we're actually moving somewhere. These are the core things. And you can branch them out to a bunch of things.
what can fathers do and educators, teachers do to ensure that young men are actually ready for marriage? And I will ask the same on the other side. What can mothers do and the women educators or the educators in general do to ensure that the young women are also ready for marriage?
Intentional practice of Iman. Intentional practice that this young child, this boy or girl, that they have respect for their parents. The birr walidain is the essence of building a moral Muslim that respects the opposite spouse. Just imagine the respect that a man has for a respect the boy has for his mother, and his obligation to protect her as he's getting older, to be cognizant of his mother's interactions and how he communicates with her, how he understands her as he gets older. He understands her shortcomings. This is how he's supposed to interact with his spouse now, because he has all of the elements. There's nothing that a woman or a man will need except that it can come from the ethics that's founded in the righteousness of the parents. So now this is what we have to be intentional in building, in raising up children that revere us. They have ethics. They understand respect. They understand how to articulate themselves. Speak to your parents properly. How to be able to deal with the emotions of being reprimanded because they didn't do something right. How to deal with pressure. But there's another aspect. So we have intentional building of Iman, building up children that practice the fundamentals of Islam. Respecting the parents will take us a long ways if we just intentional with making sure that I want my son to understand the place of his father and his mother. Now, when it comes for him to actually have a woman, he will look at it in that same light. It's real simple. Like I say, Islam is beautiful. There's a simple practice that everybody starts at. And then there's complexity. There's things that we can constantly derive fiqh and wisdom for rectification. But on the other end, what comes first? The chicken or the egg? What comes first? Go in a circle. A man can't build a man. A male that's not a man can't build a man. A female that's not a woman can't build a woman. So we, we're going back in circles. We have many broken males and females that are parenting. So now as a child, another concept that we need to understand is that parents will be deficient. And it's upon you to be grateful because Allah has legislated for you to be grateful. Be grateful to Allah and grateful to your parents for what the little that they done. Well, not even little. They did a tremendous thing, even if they were deficient. But what they did do, but you have to know is a part of your worship to build yourself for what you didn't get. And this is where marriage is being broken down because people are not building themselves. They're not building their value proposition. When the person says, listen, I didn't get this coming up. I need to go get that. I need to go build myself, enhance my value. This will say value and vision. A person saying, okay, I'm going to go be a better me. So that now when you're constantly building your value, what happens? You attract value. Women have to know this themselves. A person enhancing their value is going to bring about a person that has value. So this is the preparation. The parents building intentionally with Iman and those who didn't get that, enhancing their value.
Nobody want to marry their daughter to someone who can't take care of her, who cannot provide a home for her, who cannot feed her. Doesn't mean it has to be, luxury or whatever, but a man's got to be a man. And part of manhood, right, is providing, right?
Ever wish you could build your own app but don't know how to code? BuildFast is a 60-day AI-powered program where complete beginners build 7 real apps using AI tools like Cursor, Supabase, Cloud Code, and other tools. No experience needed. You learn by doing with expert coaching, a modern tech stack, and career-ready projects all in just 2 months. In fact, In the first 30 days, you'll be able to build and deploy your first app. Only 12 spots in the founding cohort. Applications close July 31st. Link in the description. Apply now before it's too late.
We are, Rijal Qawwamun.
And this is what we talk. I'm happy you're saying that, because maybe we need to expound on what is Iman from the aspect of marriage. When Allah is telling us to put our tawakkul in Him, and He will sustain us the way He sustained the bird that leaves from the nest. This is the essence of, this is the same characteristic that the leading entrepreneurs must have, that they do have. So that's Iman. So when a parent is strategic in building Iman, and a person is building their value based upon Iman, then there's nothing you'll be deficient in. Do you understand? The morality of being able to control anger. This is the emotional stability we're talking about. This is from Iman. So now dealing with that frustration when it comes to conflict, that's based upon faith. When it comes to understanding the rights of the neighbor, that's social interactions. Someone that you don't have to deal with, but you give them rights and you treat them a certain way because of your faith. Now the same thing comes into the household. I feel like I don't have to give ihsan, but because I have a higher level of Iman, it's there. I go above and beyond. You know what I mean? This is the practice of faith. When we have believers, it will rectify the situations of the household.
And that in return.
But we want to take every other label. We want to practice every other thing except for Iman. It's strategic and conscious, intentional. Practicing of faith rectifies all of our affairs.
Purifying the intention of, because again, we said it's an act of ibadah, and every act of worship starts with the intention. So this leads me to, now let's say, we understand what marriage is. If a person understands what marriage is, they understand, what is to be ready. And again, we're not like giving in-depth breakdown of these things right now. We're just talking about what that journey, right, from beginning, from intention to the end of it, right? So we'll eventually, bi'idhnillah, do deep dives in all of these things, bi'idhnillah. But for now, just overview. So now a person understands the institution of marriage, understand what is to be ready. Now, next is, okay, well, I'm going to go into, the search, right? Understanding what the standards should be, what it means to be compatible with someone, what are the red flags that I should be looking out for, and things like that, right? And again, here, those who do not fail in the readiness part, maybe this is where they fail, right?
Yeah.
We say deen first, and this is from the guidance and the advice of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the best guide, the best mentor, the best teacher, right? But when we say deen first, this is also very, very misunderstood.
Very important.
It's so important, but so misunderstood, because what does it mean, deen first, right? People, I'm just going to put it out there right now. When we say deen, oh, wait, hold up. Fulan memorized Sahih Bukhari, khalas. Oh, no, the sister, she memorized the Quran. That's the right sister. Not to discount any of those matter very much, but is that what it really means, deen first?
So Allah has put in us that we all have an inclination to doing good. But it has nothing to do with us fighting our ills. A person can be a criminal and do acts of good. So understanding the branches of faith, the highest level of faith is the testification of La ilaha illallah, and to sacrifice to uphold that. And the lowest is what? To remove something harmful from the path. So Iman is a variety of actions. So when you're looking at a spouse, now compatibility, the first thing is deen. And deen is the practice of Iman. How is a person in their interactions? We can't be blinded by our desire, blinded by our worldly objectives. Some people, they just want stability, and they neglect the fact that you can get stability but yet be oppressed. So being able to use the Islamic criteria of what's a believer, a mu'min, a mu'mina. You understand? I want to marry a mu'mina that may be fulani, a mu'mina that may be from Afghanistan, a mu'mina that may be such and such. That's the first thing. Deen. Then after we talk about deen, there is the aspect of compatibility, because Allah has made us with other dispositions. Some people, they love simplicity. It doesn't matter how much money you give them, they love simplicity. And there's other people, they love interaction. They are very busy. They have ideas. They constantly need dialogue. They constantly need to put things together. And these two, they might not merge. Certain people, their upbringing is to constantly be engaged in activities. Other people, they're like, we're just simple people. Certain people, they are very passive in the way that they communicate. Other people are very frank and aggressive. These things you have to consider. We read Surah Al-Ikhlas all the time. And we talk about Allah does not have a kufu. وَلَمْ يَكُنْ لَهُ كُفُوًا أَحَدٌ. Kufu means Allah has no similitude. There is no comparison to him. Allah has sent down for us this belief this tawheed, that we believe in this. But when it comes to marriage, Allah has made it that takafur, to have a spouse, to have similitude is the essence. We need a kufu. So you have to have someone that is compatible to you. I had many brothers that say, I just want a sister. She practices sunnah. I say, mashallah, this is very good. But the companions had divorce. Did they not practice sunnah? You have to have somebody that's companionable with you, bro. Allah has created shu'ubin wa qaba'il. So this means that we are a people, we are tribes. And each people and each tribe have different environments. Different environments means that there's different solutions. There's different ways of life. You have to find your compatibility. The prophetic sunnah is the foundation, but that doesn't mean that we're all compatible. So being able to have a criteria for compatibility is very important. And that starts with being able to understand people and not being led with, I'm lonely, I just need a spouse. Or a woman, I'm in need, I just need a relationship. You can't put worldly objectives first, even though we're talking about permissible things.
Right.
I need help, so I need a spouse. I need some type of sexual fulfillment, so I need a spouse. These are all things that are natural.
Right.
But the compatibility has to precede that. Put that to the side. Let's put this to the side and let's talk about how can we live and coordinate together. Quarterback, wide receiver. We got to run the same routes. We can't put it in the end zone. So this is the compatibility, being able to sit down and say, how do we think? How do we understand interactions? Knowing where you come from, knowing where I come from. What's expected? What are privileges according to your understanding? Because this is the issue with children, with women, with husbands, with leaders and the people that follow their leaders. We don't understand the difference between rights and privileges. They're not the same. So imagine your child throwing tantrums because he does not get privileges.
I believe they're rights.
They're rights. So this is what happening today.
Yeah.
Men and women don't realize that rights need to be fulfilled, but let's not confuse the two. But that goes back to compatibility.
Compatibility versus attraction, right? I think this is a big one. And a lot of people overlook compatibility for attraction, right? Again, we're visual beings.
Mesmerized.
Exactly. We look at somebody.
Over-romanticized.
Exactly. And we don't look at the practicality of the day-to-day in a marriage. Even if deen is there, which is the most important, without a doubt, you definitely want to make sure that you're attracted to the person that you're going to get married to. Nobody tell you otherwise.
No.
But attraction transcends the physical. Let's be real. It does. Because that physical attraction only lasts a few hours or days unless the total package of compatibility is there. So if your sight is set on the east and her sight is set on the west, there's no way. You're on two opposites. It's not going to work,
Polar
right?
opposites.
And that's for both men and women. So it's important that in the search, that compatibility is prioritized. And that's for the brothers, for the sisters and their walis. But how do I know? I've never been married before. What do I know about compatibility? What does it mean? What questions do I ask to establish that?
There's a long list. And this is the world has become so vast that people with the same background, same ethnicity, same lineage, cousins, can live on the same street, be completely different. Polar opposites because of the stupefier, social media, television, eat completely different foods. So now it becomes that we actually address details from beginning to end about the very essence of where you want to live, from the very essence of how do we believe in interactions. You know, you have to have you need help to understand the realities of hygiene. You know, it's so many factors. It's so many factors because these things were musallamat. These are the things that were givens. If we come from the same people, we don't need to talk about hygiene sentences because you're going to be the way that my mother was. We have standards, but we're living in a world with the standards are broken. In many aspects, they're unexistent. So this is why people need mentorship. This is why people need systems. We need to understand this as Muslims because you shouldn't be alone. If you're working alone with trying to find a spouse, then you should believe that there's going to be some hidden affairs that you didn't cross off. And this is what some of our endeavors are about. How can we bring the systems closer to the people so that they can have the help, how they can actually have compatibility? This is the objective.
So there are ways, obviously. The answers are there because it's a matter, like you said, it's a
100%.
matter of mentorship, guidance, education. Why is it that we believe that many things in society needs to be learned before they're practiced? But when it comes to marriage, there's no learning, it's just practice.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It makes no sense.
Yeah, that's the problem.
You know, the Prophet ﷺ taught and educated the companions. Right? They learned. It says, al-ilmu qabla al-qawli wal-amal. That's a principle that is general and applies to everything, isn't it?
100%.
So where are the marriage
educators
and education happening? I'm really interested to know because we talk about the struggle of marriage today, and some of the points that we're going to talk about is that's a part of it, the struggle of actually being able to just get married. Extremely hard. Where the education?
No, we're lacking.
Search has become easier, by the way. Let me say that. Okay, before we can say people lived in communities, right? Tiny communities, so people knew each other. Right? From that perspective, we believe some things were easier. But from another perspective, you were also limited. Now, the world is open to you. Literally, especially with technology, with the advent of internet, and the world becoming a small village, as it said, right?
Yeah.
Now you find that someone from Guinea or Senegal is married to someone from Florida. Like, how?
Yeah, absolutely.
Someone from New York City is married to someone from Beijing, China.
Yeah.
How? These things now are possible. Walillahi alhamd.
Nah.
That's khair, there's khair in that.
It's definitely
But
khair.
with that openness and ease comes with a whole lot of challenges and difficulties, because before, when we were in tight-knit small communities, I knew you.
Consistencies.
I know who the father is.
Yeah.
I know who his children are. I saw those boys being raised. I know if she's fit for my daughter or not, and vice versa. But that's not there anymore. Now we go out blindly searching. I believe when we talk about this, the compatibility, the search, the standards, that, the things that matter. Because also, there's red flags, but there's also people really just kind of like exaggerating things sometimes, not putting the important matters in their proper place. Both men and women.
Yeah.
All of this, I believe,
All of it
goes back to the lack of education and mentorship.
100%. 100%. Most people today, they need to get divorced. Not they need to. They are getting divorced twice before they realize their mistakes. That was supposed to be grounded and cultivated in them before they even thought about getting married. So many people say, I got into a divorce I fell into a divorce with someone. I had no right to divorce them.
Wow.
This is a major problem because basic conflict will happen.
So,
Understanding how to make priorities, understand priorities. So that's there 100%.
even before a person makes that decision, which is what's going to come next, is that you go through this process, which is the most important process I believe that you're going to go through. There's consulting the people, there's consulting Allah. There's that istikhara that comes into place, right? But again, when there's no education in the matter, we see the end results. And if this is done right, which is something that obviously, again, we're going to talk about more, this is things that we want to tackle, things that we want to do, bi'idhnillah, it could save people years of regret.
Yeah.
You said what you said now. And all it takes, how long is the education? How long does the education need to take really for someone to learn these things? Let's say it took 6 months. Let's say it took a year. But if it saves you years of regret, of misery,
finances,
it's not worth it.
It's not, yeah. And this is what you made a beautiful point. This is what people need to realize is that my investment in myself, my investment in the search, in finding compatibility, is going to bring me so much harm if I don't do it right. The benefits of being patient and being diligent, exerting effort to make sure I check off these boxes is so beneficial in the long run.
Right.
And so detrimental in the long run if you don't do it right. That has to be understood.
Absolutely. And this really is this brings me to I think I have to make a very important point here. Few points. Which is again why we've decided, to join hands, Walillah alhamd, with yourself, with Brother Omar from Make Hijrah, to actually rebuild the platform or platforms to make this right. We've built a platform online some years ago, Zawj, where people are able to search, right, and find potential spouses, get married. Many people, alhamdulillah, got married off of the platform, and there's other platforms that exist. But one thing that is absolutely lacking is the vetting, is ensuring that everybody on this platform, one, are serious, because there's many people that play games, waste time, don't even know what they want, they don't even know what they need, they don't even know what they're looking for, and then everybody else pays a price. So what we decided to do is a few things. One, upgrade the technology, but that's the easy part. But in upgrading the technology is actually now to change completely how we approach things. From now on, we said to ourselves, what's important? Is it to have a lot of people sign up and use the platform? No. Numbers is not what matters. What matters is actually achieving the end goal of this platform, which is to help people who care upon Islam, upon the Sunnah, get married to other people like them without having to waste
checks
time.
And balances.
Exactly. We decided 3 things. One, from now on, anyone who's not serious, by getting vetted and verified, will not use our platform. we literally don't care if there's only 10 users. We mean that. But we want 10 brothers and 10 sisters who are serious about marriage, help them get married.
Let me introduce you to Sakinity. It's what Muslim marriage looks like when you refuse to compromise on a single principle laid out by Islam. Every person on this platform has to be verified by a real call, by a real person. We call them, we speak to them, we verify them. You get one match at a time. You give them your full attention or you give them nothing. That's Sakinity. Look, how Wali is in the conversation from day one. In fact, there's no conversation without his approval. From the very first message, every single call. Not at the end, not when he gets serious. From the start. Here's what you need to understand. Sakinity is live. People are on it right now. The person you've been making dua for, they might be creating their account right now. Half your deen is waiting for you. Well, it's not going to come knocking on your door. You have to move. You have to take action. Sakinity.com is live. One match at a time. Serious. No games. No fake profiles. Unverified people cannot use the platform. Bismillah. Sign up right now. Get married. Bi-idhnillah.
Addressing the catastrophe of people being the wakil or the wali and having no acumen, no sincerity.
And that's why every single person who gets on the platform, a brother, you will have to jump on a call. We need to know who you are. Are you serious? Is this important to you? Are you just, roaming around? Can't do that here. And that's what we did in the beginning, but we changed it.
Yeah.
But now we're going back to the asl. The second thing is, sisters, you have no wali? Or your wali doesn't want to get involved? Malish. Unless, again, having a system for those. There are sisters who generally don't have a wali and a wakil. Now this is where the community can step up and help assign the right qualified people to step up and aid these sisters and be there.
But having a system of accountability to make sure she's checked on.
Yes. So that's the first thing. Second now is what? The education piece.
Education.
This is where, we're partnering with y'all to make sure we put these things into place. It's things that we said from the beginning we wanted.
Yeah.
Now it's the time. Before you get married, there's some learnings that you need to do. That's all of us need.
Yeah.
There's some education that you got to go through. And that, it will give me peace of mind. Knowing that when my son is trying to get married, that all the sisters on this platform
have a level of literacy.
Exactly.
They
understand what marriage is.
Interactions.
Yes. They understand what it's important.
Of the problems that you're going to face.
100%. And vice versa.
And vice versa.
For the daughters with the sons. Because it's hard. The Prophet ﷺ said, whoever, raises 3 daughters, marries them off, right? They can be the sabab for him to enter Jannah. So if that's the case, how you going to do that? You're just going to marry them off? Just like that? No. Again, so the education is very important. So that's one of the things that we're going to do with Ibn Allah is to make sure that that's embedded. And I know you've been creating and you've been building systems, and different things for compatibility, for educating, that we're going to dive deep. You can feel free to add just a bit about that so people understand what we're talking about. But we're going to dive deep into it and we're going to integrate so that Ibn Allah people are able to get that as well. So that now when you come on the platform, now there are people here serious, verified and vetted, but also they are educated about marriage and they know how to pick. In fact, the systems will be there to help you.
Exactly.
Because you don't know what you don't know. But those who have the knowledge and the experience will now be able to guide you, give you the tools that you need to establish that compatibility. Doesn't mean just because you're not compatible with someone, doesn't mean they're a bad person. Not at all. It just means that you and them are not compatible.
We talked about the norms of blaming. This side blaming that side.
Yeah.
And there's consistency that people are constantly blaming. So imagine being able to come to a platform that holds accountability for those consistencies that you know are wrong. This is what we're trying to do. Bi'ithnillah. To bring accountability and to bring benchmarks and standards that people can be held to and help people to be able to articulate priorities.
No.
This is a major issue. Not being able to align with, why wait 5 years to realize that our priorities are different?
Oof.
After tens of thousands of dollars, shared investments, bank accounts, why not start from the beginning, understand that we are now aligned, or we are not aligned? This is not going to work.
Right. After children who
Yes.
now going to pay the price.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
All because we failed to do our job and to do the right thing from the beginning. Failing as parents, failing as people trying to get married. And all, again, only because we didn't put in that required time and effort to seek that knowledge and information that we need and ask the right questions to at least mitigate the risk.
Exactly.
Doesn't mean divorce will not happen. There's so many factors to divorce. But at the very least upon us is what? To take the asbab to limit and reduce and minimize as much as possible.
How many people are gullible today, or just completely ignorant, to be able to have something I can actually check off that, you know, as a means of direction?
Yeah.
That's major. And this is what's missing. This is the education.
Absolutely.
And sometimes a mentor can't help but so many people. So how do we do it? We're talking about, this is 2026, post-industrialism. We must be people of systems. Yes, you possibly can go to an elder or someone that can actually help you,
right,
but everybody can't find that.
Access is limited.
Access is limited.
And these are some of the things that we can solve.
And
because
this is the things that
part of what we're talking about is
exactly.
not just to give you that education pre-marriage, which is, I'm going to call the most important because you need to be prepared, but also what happens in your marriage.
Yes.
Many marriages could be saved just by having some form of counseling.
Yeah.
By just brothers having that elder, that person who's more experienced, that can just give him nasiha.
Understand there's multiple paths to deal with the issue. Some people look at it,
Exactly.
This problem, there's only one way to deal with it.
Right.
Giving people a multitude of ways to act upon a problem.
Right. And minimizing sometimes things that we deem such a big deal.
Yes.
That like, bro, wallahi, it's not that important. It's not that big of a deal. And that goes for brothers and sisters.
Yes.
Like things and also being grateful.
Yes.
Like sometimes, like there's just so much that goes into it.
But what sums that up is what we mentioned, is that most people are getting divorced twice before they realize that was truly petty.
That's you.
This is a problem. A woman getting divorced twice to realize that person, I should have stayed with them.
So,
a man letting go to someone's 2 daughters go to realize that's what I should have kept. This is a problem.
Yeah. A lot of this, if not all of it, could truly be solved and mitigated.
Yes.
And reduced. But again, that requires what we're talking about now, which is the education, having the support, having the mentorship, having the counseling, right?
Yes.
And again, the platform, our goal is not just to help you learn what marriage is, how to get married, find a spouse, get married, but also now what happens after? How do we maintain that marriage? How do we live through that marriage in a way that's pleasing to Allah, in a way that is, filled with harmony, that mahabba that we're talking about, and the rahmah that's supposed to exist between the spouses, all these things. And, there's so many points that we're definitely going to talk about. If you don't mind, I just want to kind of like lay out some of the things that we intend to eventually dive deep into, and we can talk about some of them now, right? So we have the journey that we're talking about, right? Understanding the institution of marriage, understanding, when a person is ready for marriage, knowing actually how do I go about searching, understanding compatibility.
How to analyze my upbringing. You mentioned that broadly, but it's very important.
Exactly.
Because people, when we talk about preparation, how to understand my past,
right?
How to be introspective. That's major part of preparation.
There you go. And then eventually that leads to, now you've done your search, you find someone, how do you make a decision, right?
Stages of checking compatibility.
Exactly.
We have a specific system that gauges how I can actually look into a person's apparent practice of faith. How can I actually understand? How can I research how a person practices Islam?
Wow.
And then values. Make sure our value systems are there, because a person can have a practice of faith, but the value is not the same. I have brothers that say, listen, I don't change diapers. For my culture, I don't change diapers. That's a value issue. That's nothing to do with his belief. You know what I mean? And certain sisters, they may have certain values. So we need to be able to have a system that aligns values.
Right.
And you have people that have faith, they have values, but then there's priorities. The priority is not the same. I want to finish this. I want to finish that. I want to live here first. You know, so sometimes the two other components can be there, but we don't have the priorities.
Right.
So being able to have a system that allows us to sit and bring everything to the table, and after marriage, keep us accountable.
Yeah.
That's something that's needed. Something that's alim.
Khalas, this is the person. You make that decision. You make istikhara, and you consult the people after you need to consult. And bi'idhnillah, you make that decision, you get married, right?
And we have psychological checks and balances. Because there are people that they're overwhelmed. They have fright to commit. And they need help.
Yeah.
And then there's people that they show that confidence, but inside they have fear because they come from broken relationships. So it's easy for them to quit a relationship. So there has to be some psychological checks and balances. And bi'ithnillah, this is something that we're just taking consistencies and just trying our best to put them in systems that has structure, that people can say, okay, now at least I went through these checks and balances. I dotted my I's and crossed my T's. Everything else is the qadr of Allah.
Right.
I took my means.
Right. And it's really, I think one thing that's really important for people to understand is that some of these things that we mention, one thing doesn't mean it applies to everybody. Every single person, as you told me one time, like people's upbringing, the culture they come from, the country they come from, it plays a role in who they are. It shapes who you are. So understanding that a person, who grew up in Senegal, getting married with someone who grew up in Germany, bro, it's two different, whether we like it or not, and we can talk about
and
now.
You can be compatible, but you just have to understand the adjustments that you have to make.
Right.
That's important. It may be that you're not compatible, period. It's not going to work.
Yeah.
Or that there is compatibility, but I need to come into this marriage making adjustments according to what I know about you and your people. And if I can commit to that, then we can make it work.
Exactly. Again, alhamdulillah, Islam is perfect.
Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar. Islam is perfect. Had it been that there was harm in people from different communities, societies getting married, Allah will not have allowed it.
Exactly.
But it's allowed. It's just that checks and balances.
An example.
Due diligence.
An example. I know a lot of us from the West that we have this idea that we want to marry a woman that speaks Arabic. Wherever she may be from. A woman who's fluent in Arabic. But I tell her, I said, do you understand that once you marry her, you have to marry her social structure? If she's used to interacting with her family a certain way, you have to keep that consistency. We're very independent people in the West. Many brothers, I've met brothers from all over, from America, Britain, Canada, that now they're detached from that extended family. They come and they want to marry, but they're not considering the extended family.
So important.
It's so important. So this is the thing. You may have compatibility. I'm just wanting to give something tangible.
Right.
That you can be compatible and have what you want and actually work, but not consider that you have to make some adjustments now.
So important.
You have to travel back to her country to make sure that she's able to see her people. You have to have your doors open and welcome for aunties to come through. She has a certain social system. So now you will oppress her if you don't consider these things, even though you're compatible.
Right.
So that's just an example of how you can be compatible, but you have to adopt certain things to be aligned from the beginning, or you will oppress someone's daughter and vice versa.
Yeah. And also that can be a cause of, rift and divorce in the marriage.
Yeah.
And all because one didn't understand, one didn't ask, one didn't make effort, one wasn't prepared to make those adjustments. One advice someone gave me is that, say, understand that marriage requires compromise. We're never talking about compromising deen. We're never compromising doing anything that goes against the Sharia of Allah Azza wa Jal. But we're talking about as two individuals, as two human beings. You have to have some compromise amongst each other.
It's give and take.
It's give and take. And if you're not prepared and you're not willing to do that, it's either it's just not going to work, or someone's going to be miserable, or someone's going to be oppressed.
But the give and take comes to things that you hold dearly. The things that are the closest to you. But there's a bigger reward.
Right.
You know, there's a bigger exchange when you give it up.
So we have the decision. Then we're going to have the process. And this is where, again, I know every single point we hit is like, this is the one. This is the fall-off point, because when it comes to the process, you know, culture.
Yeah, it's big. Major
It's
role.
major. It doesn't matter whether you two come from two different cultures. Obviously, that may sometimes it makes it easier, to be honest, because sometimes people are more overlooking. They're like, okay, well, he's not from our culture, she's not. So we'll kind of like, you know what I mean? Like, we understand, we'll overlook that, we'll make that easier, right? And sometimes it's the opposite. The fact that it's two different cultures, there's a clash, right? And it may not be between the two people trying to get married. It may be between the families. Because one family expects things to be done their way. The other expects to be from the same, done their way. And I'm talking about sometimes people from the same country, from the same ethnic groups, from the
100%.
same, right? But they come from two sides of the country and they have two different ways of doing things. So culture, Lil Asaf plays a huge role. And again, there has to be an understanding of these things and its place in Islam. The process. You have culture. You have the Mahr. That's a whole other beast, right?
Seeking barakah.
Yeah. Right.
Being just.
Exactly. Being balanced.
Understand the social demand.
Right.
It's important.
Absolutely.
We can't live in spiritual ideals.
Right.
There's social demands.
Yeah.
Because you may lack, you may need to supplement it with something.
100%.
It's a lot.
Yeah. So, you know, then, you know, families, expectations, you know, there's negotiations that have to happen.
Yes.
That's just the reality of it, right? And then there's this concept of making marriages, as in general, simple. Versus where extravagance is thrown in. People literally go into debt using riba sometimes.
You know why? We know why. But one way to word it, because people they're not focusing on their vision. That now, that individualism comes into marriage. I need this experience.
Yeah.
That stems from individualism.
And societal pressures sometimes. Societal pressures.
Yeah, that's
like, oh, that's how everybody else is doing it. You gotta do it like that. Or this is how my cousin or my sister, it was bigger and better. So now I gotta tap that, right?
We won't have the status if we don't do.
Right. A major important point when it comes to this process. And this is also a major reason why marriages fail. Is that in this process, there are things that happen that creates resentment, especially from the man for the woman, which then become a sabbath for the marriage to break. Because look, let's be real. If you put a man in a position to do things, let's say he goes into debt now, just so he can get that walima the way you want, or he can give you that mahr that that you want. And then tomorrow you're married, and he realized you don't even know how to boil eggs. Malish. And he realized that whatever he thought of you, and it may be his fault, right, for having certain expectations. That's why expectation versus reality is very important. But let's just say things don't pan out as you expected, and you're not what you portrayed yourself to be. And that can, again, go from both the men's side or the women's side. That's resentment is going to be created. And once that's created from the beginning, how you gonna get out of that?
It just grows, amplifies, and it becomes a battering ram.
Barakah is gone. The Prophet ﷺ advises that the marriage with the most barakah is the simplest one, the easiest one. But now, the asl of marriage has become complication and difficulty. So much so, people wait 5 years, 10 years, into their 30s, late 30s, to get married.
I need to finish my degrees. I need the masters.
Or you have to buy that. You have to do this. You have to bring this amount. things that are foreign to Islam, things that are actually khilaf sunnah. They are in opposition from the sunnah. People say, no, well, that's our culture. That's well, your culture is in opposition to the Sharia of Allah in the sense, and opposition to the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ.
To disposition, human nature.
Yeah, and some of it, look, we're not going to say all of it is haram. Some of it is just pure haram, straight up haram, right, that people do. And there's, oh, well, this is our culture, this is how we do, we practice, we Muslims. This is prevalent. Yeah. And it's just wrong, and it's causing so much harm. The ripple effect of those actions and decisions are sometimes seen later. Yeah. You know? Yeah. When that marriage, you know, breaks
for
down.
The families and
then the first year. I know you called it the first 2 years, but I think even that first year before the second year.
It's the first couple of weeks, but we just gave it the length.
Right.
2 years is like, there's some solidarity there. There's some grounding there.
Right.
But no, that doesn't mean that the first couple of days in today's world it's very important.
Right.
How to deal with the Laylat Zifaf, you know, how to actually interact with a woman in a way that she can actually feel safe and secure.
Yeah.
Because a woman can feel a lack of security from the first 100%. Night.
Very common.
I got stories.
Ooh.
I got stories.
Oh, alhamdulillah, this is why the series are going to come.
Yeah. Inshallah.
And again, you know, this first, let's say we say the first year, first 2 years, even the first days and weeks, this is where a lot of the, you know, the marriages start to actually fracture from within.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And sometimes people see the clarity for what it is because you don't know, right? You don't know what you don't know until you get married and then you realize that, like, look.
Then you have to, another big thing.
Yeah, this was a mistake.
There's always a skeleton in the closet today. There's a skeleton. There's something that was not mentioned that has to be put on the table. I'm sorry, I couldn't say that because you would not have married me if I didn't tell you.
If I told you, you will not marry me.
Yeah, if I would have told you, you wouldn't have married me.
But shouldn't I have that? Shouldn't I?
Unfortunately, that percentage is so high.
That's a problem.
It's a problem.
And that's a reason for divorce. Shara'an.
Yeah, depending
when you
on
hide something. Yeah, depending on what it is.
Yeah, but 100%.
Right? Man, this is gonna be too deep, Akhi. I may have to, I don't know. It's gonna be deep. But again, conversations have to be had.
Yes.
They have to be had. We have to open these conversations, and you know, we're gonna talk about it here, but I will say we challenge people to have these conversations in their homes. Parents have these conversations with their children.
We challenge people to come to the table to build an institution of marriage.
Right.
We want to compete in khair.
Yes.
Just imagine what we can do if everybody wants to actually engage in some area of building an institution of marriage.
SubhanAllah.
This is what we want.
100%. Some of the key points that we're definitely going to want to dive into is in relations to leadership, right? We know that just like, you know, any organization, any institution, there must be, and you alluded to this earlier, there must be leadership, there must be obedience, there must be emotional intelligence that goes into these things. And, you know, understanding what the roles and responsibilities are, because sometimes people only focus on what?
Yes.
Their rights, as you said, and then not only their rights, but they confuse those rights with privileges, right? But we all forget what the roles and responsibilities are. And again, these are not defined by us ourselves. You know, we're Muslims, so everything at the end of the day goes back to our religion, to Islam. But today, I think a lot of people, unfortunately, want to create their own roles.
Yeah.
And they want it to be, you know, fit what they want, right? So that's one of the key points that we're going to definitely have to touch on. And what that is supposed to look like in the institution of marriage. So I don't know if there's anything that, you know, you want to comment on that, on actually how the actual roles are supposed to work in practice. I'm rogue, so if I say something, I'm just going to have to like...
No, I have a saying that there's multiple roles that a man must play, and we're going to keep the sisters to a further session. But there is the father role, there's the role of the friend, there's the role of the romancer, and there's the role of the clinician. You have to be a person that listens when a person's in a state of disarray, uneasy, and asks questions and listen and take data and respond. That's what a person, that's a clinician. They're responsible, a psychiatrist, a doctor. These are all roles. You have to know when to put on each hat. There's a father-like figure that is a part of the disposition that a woman needs. There's a friend. Friends, what do friends do? Friends, we laugh at things that's only funny to us.
Yeah.
We have that communication. So these are the different roles that we have to make sure that we can switch between them.
That's right.
So yes, we will have to address the roles in leadership. A leader has to be able to understand the operation of all levels of his business.
Right.
You got to switch up. Just because I'm the CEO and I'm the biggest stakeholder doesn't mean that I can't perform other tasks. I can't come down for the sake of efficiency.
This one's gonna be honest. This one's probably gonna be very controversial, like many others.
That's what happens.
Especially when I bring. I mean, look, when we talk about leadership and obedience and these things, right? It's very touchy. But the reality is, without this, there is no successful marriage. That's just the bottom line, right? And again, even there's no even a functional society. Never mind a functional household, right? And household is just a small nucleus again of the society. So, I mean, that leads us to thinking then about things that relate to, because with leadership, with all these things, what comes with that? Conflict, crisis management, protection, right?
A prevention before cure.
Huh?
This is a principle.
Yeah.
Protection before cure.
Exactly.
We want to prevent things before we have to bring medication.
Right.
To remove the harms.
Right. Yeah, like someone said, marriage is not tested in ease, right? It's tested in stress and in difficulty and challenges. And like the brother said here last night, somebody's been married for 20 years, 30 years, and the marriage, alhamdulillah, still going strong.
They have turbulence, tolerance.
Oof.
You got to be able to deal with the shaky roads.
Right. Yeah. So that we will touch on bi'idhnillah azza wa jal.
Inshallah ta'ala.
And again, the goal in all of this is really to remind, reflect, educate, open the conversations, because nobody in any marriage is safe from dealing with all these things that we mentioned.
No way.
It's impossible.
A humble effort to address social norms using Iman. This is what this is about.
Absolutely.
These things have become normalized, good and bad, but we want to be able to do prevention before cure. Dealing with these social norms using our religion. Systems thinking. This is what this endeavor is about.
Right. Polygyny.
100%.
It's a part of it.
100%.
It's a part of the Sharia of Allah Azza wa Jal. It's a part of the institution of marriage. It's one that people want to absolutely avoid and bury and not talk about. And, if we don't talk about it, it doesn't exist type of thing.
Balance is zooming in, zooming out.
Yeah. We're going to have to. We have to.
Zoom out.
Right? Very important. Actually, that topic, that matter as well is a sabab for many, many, many marriages. What? Failing.
Yeah.
Whether it's the practice of it, the improper practice of it, or the lack
the entry
of
points.
Practice of it. Yeah, exactly. So there's so many, points to that, which we're going to talk about. But the whole idea here is that it's for us and for everyone to understand that marriage in itself is really what is a multi-decade or generational or lifetime investment. Because what you're investing, you're not only going to reap the fruits here, bi'idhnillah. Actually, the greater fruits are going to be ripped.
Yes.
In the hereafter, bi'idhnillah. When the person dies.
100%.
One of the things that he leaves behind that benefits him is what? Waladun salih yad'ullah Allah. So it's that. That's the legacy. Leaving children that will upon istiqamah, that will make dua for you, that are benefiting you way after you're gone. So this is the idea of what we're going to be talking about. And then, last but not least, and that's going to be the 10th point, and inshallah in the series, we're going to start making probably 10 series, bi'idhnillah, is the elephant in the room. The thing that, all of this stuff we're talking about right now, preparing for, is to avoid getting here. It's the prevention, right? Before needing the cure.
Yeah.
Which what? Any marriage that's not successful leads to one thing. It leads to divorce. It leads to color. It leads to separation, right? But even though that's legislated, people also have to understand that there's a right way to do it.
That's etiquette. It's a part of worship. It's a part of your servitude. How to separate, and the belief of Allah sustaining you despite separation, the removal of investments. It's not easy to remove a large investment, a share that you have in your company.
Right.
It's difficult. You think about what will happen if I take this big loss. But it's a part of our belief system that we have. Iman is to welcome Allah, that Allah will sustain you to not stay in a situation that's harmful and to move on. And there's many other things that we'll address, but divorce is important that we understand it's a part of our servitude.
Absolutely.
There's etiquettes. Even if one is oppressed, there's still etiquettes that one must do to remove themselves.
Right.
Only for worship to Allah.
So,
only as worship to Allah.
Right.
Not because of culture or passiveness. And this is where the Iman is grounded.
Right.
That we can separate based upon using principles. Because there's an impact. People are impacted. Children, if involved. Families. The community in the masjid.
So, yeah, and then all these things, us always, we started with the intention and we end with the intention, knowing that at the end of the day, everything we're talking about here is worship, is ibadah to Allah Azza wa Jal. So in coming together for the sake of Allah, if there must be separation out of necessity, it also has to be for the sake of Allah. And in a way that Allah has legislated, in a way that's pleasing to Allah, knowing that at the end of the day, we will be questioned, we will be accountable for every single thing. Right? Some
100%.
people do make it seem as if divorce is haram, which it is not. It is not something that's wanted and hoped for and liked, but sometimes, as some say, it's also a mercy, which is why Allah legislated it.
Takes the 5 rulings, takes the ahkam al-khams. You know, this is important to understand that divorce is a mercy from Allah. We're not like the Christians who make things obligatory upon themselves. Allah has given us ease. But with that ease comes etiquettes in order that we fulfill, in order to make sure that we ensure the rights of everybody. So once you understand that you come in with worship, you leave with worship. You receive the amana a certain way, you return the amana a certain way. You will be asked about the way you took it and the way you left it.
So, bi'idhnillah Azza wa Jal, this is just a quick intro of what we plan and intend to do, bi'idhnillah. And again, we will dive deep into this. Who knows, at some point, maybe in between some of the episodes, we might decide to bring in some guests, bi'idhnillah, you know, to touch on certain topics. But the goal is to, hopefully, we ask Allah for ikhlas and tawfiq and taysir, to be able to deliver a series that will dive deep into each of these elements of the journey of marriage. So hopefully, bi'idhnillah, this will be a catalyst for a lot of people to go into it the right way,
Inshallah.
to build sustainable marriages upon the kitab and the sunnah ala fahmi salaf, in a way that is pleasing to Allah, in a way that lasts. And this is what we hope to see. This is what we would love to see. It's scary to hear certain statistics, and Allah knows best. It's 50% of marriages failing within a year or 2 or 3. You know, I'm not quoting these statistics. Don't get me, but I'm just saying, like, you know, things you know, that are out there. It's scary, and especially when it's in relation to the Muslims. One of the statistics that I heard that was very scary in one of the Muslim countries, I won't say which country, where you had over 13 million women over the age of 35 that have not been married. These things are pandemics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's becoming a norm in many countries.
Right.
The 40-year-old virgin.
It's crazy. Now, again, we talked about the whole red pill thing. The whole feminism thing is crept into the Muslim society. Now it's
into the dawah.
Yeah, into the...
I wouldn't call it dawah, but the Islamic discussion scene.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Because now what's happening is, literally, there are... And this is a sickness to a certain degree, but I'm telling you, now there are these ideas, I'll call them ideas, of potentially avoiding marriage because it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
It's a responsibility. Because it's a liability.
I can do all better by myself.
Yeah. You know, like, so, and that's scary. Again, how will society continue, right? We wouldn't be here if that wasn't the case. So anyway, so bi'idhnillah azza wa jalla, I'll go again. This was just an intro. Walillah alhamd, jazakallah khair, Brother Bilal. I look forward to really working on this series and working on putting this platform together. Bi'idhnillah azza wa jalla, that will be the go-to platform, the most serious platform for those who are serious about getting married the right way according to Kitab and Sunnah ala fahmi salaf, and who don't want to play games, because we will not allow it aslan. Those who are willing to learn and be educated, those who are willing to be mentored, those who are willing to be counseled when they need to, and not, be hard about it, etc. That's what we want to put together and be bi'idhnillah. It's already in the works, walillah alhamd. From your side, you already have a lot done. On our side, we have a lot done. Walillah alhamd. We will, we're combining forces, bi'idhnillah. And again, we're open to anyone else out there who's, who has anything that can help this, right? What we're trying to do and make it a reality. There are a lot of the elders, alhamdulillah, that have a lot of experience, that have done a lot of counseling over the years. Many Muslim families need it. And
100%.
we want to open that, we want to create that platform where that can be possible and feasible. So, yeah. So before we wrap up, which of these series do you look forward the most to? Which topic?
Compatibility.
Compatibility.
Yeah, compatibility.
Okay.
That's it,
Love
man.
it. Okay.
We will really hurt.
Not polygyny.
Nah, I think polygyny is a whole lot more digestible when it's presented the right way.
Okay. I know that a lot of viewers, that's the one they're looking forward to the most.
They like the controversy.
But they're going to get shocked. We're going to shock you. We're going to shock you when it comes to that, right? But jazakallah khairan. Seriously, I mean, for me as well, I think... now
we're both looking forward to it.
I'm looking forward to all of these, but definitely compatibility, I think, and because that's it. That's what sets the true foundation.
Yes,
and you cannot know that unless, you learn the other stuff that come before 100%. That. So I look forward to this. We're going to be banging this out soon.
And the feedback. Yeah. Looking forward towards the feedback and participation.
Absolutely.
Active participation.
We can make it such a way that every episode comes with a way for people to interact with the episode.
100%.
And this is something we can do, bi'idhnillah. And you know what? This series specifically actually need to live on the platform itself.
Yeah.
Bi'idhnillah, I think that might be a great way to do it. Right? So yeah, and we can create, I think Brother Omar was talking about it. I was like, we can create a way where they can interact with the content.
That's what
we can get that feedback loop. And then,
we started dynamic courses.
Amazing. Man, I'm excited.
100%.
Ask Allah for, again, ikhlas, tawfiq and taysir, and jazakallah khairan. Looking forward to shooting 1 to 10 bi'idhnillah soon.
Let's make
and we'll drop those as soon as possible bi'idhnillah.
Let's make it happen.
Jazakumullah khairan. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk.